Viewers, good day. Vladimir Nabokov had written an outstanding novel. The name of this novel is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, Lolita. So, while we read Lolita, we find in this novel the fictional John Ray Jr. in his novel's forward explain the strange story that will follow. According to Ray, he received the manuscript entitled Lolita, or The Confession of a White Widowed Male, from the author's lawyer. The author, himself known by the pseudonym of Humbert or H.H., died in jail of a coronary thrombosis while awaiting a trial. Ray asserts that while the author's actions are despicable, his writing remains beautiful and persuasive. He also indicates that the novel will become a favorite in psychiatric circle, as well encourage parents to raise better children in a better world. In the manuscript, Humbert relates his peaceful upbringing on the Riviera, where he encounters his first love, the 12-year-old Annabelle Leake. Annabelle and the 13-year-old Humbert never consummate their love, and Annabelle's death from typhus 4 months later haunts Humbert. Although Humbert goes on to a career as a teacher of English literature, he spends time in a mental institution and works a succession of odd jobs. Despite his marriage to an old adult woman, which eventually fails, Humbert remains obsessed with sexually desirable and sexually aware young girls. These nymphets, as he calls them, remind him of Annabelle, though he fails to find another like her. Eventually, Humbert comes to the United States and takes a room in the house of widow Charlotte Hayes in a sleepy suburban New England town. He becomes instantly infatuated with her 12-year-old daughter, Dolores, also known as Lolita. Humbert follows Lolita's moves constantly, occasionally flirts with her, and confides his pedophilic longing to a journal. Meanwhile, Charlotte Hayes, whom Humbert looks, has fallen in love with him. When Charlotte sends Lolita off to summer camp, Humbert marries Charlotte in order to stay near his true love. Humbert wants to be alone with Lolita and even toys with the idea of killing Charlotte. But he can't go through with it. However, Charlotte finds his diary, and after learning that he hates her but loves her daughter, confronts him. Humbert denies everything, but Charlotte tells him she's leaving him and storms out of the house. At that moment, a car hits her and she dies instantly. Humbert goes to the summer camp and picks up Lolita. Only when they arrive at a motel does he tell her that Charlotte has died. In his account of events, Humbert claims that Lolita seduces him rather than the other way round. The two drive across the country for nearly a year, during which time Humbert becomes increasingly obsessed with Lolita, and she learns to manipulate him. When she engages in tantrums or refuses his advances, Humbert threatens to put her in an orphanage. At the same time, A strange man seems to take an interest in Humphrey and Lolita and appears to be following them in their travels. Humphrey eventually gets a job of Beardsley College somewhere in the Northeast, and Lolita enrolls in school. Her wish to socialize with boys her own age causes a strain in their relationship, and Humphrey becomes more restrictive in his rules. Nonetheless, he allows her to appear in a school play. Lolita begins to behave secretively around Humphrey, and he accuses her of being unfaithful and takes her away on another road trip. On the road, Humphrey suspects that they are being followed. Lolita doesn't notice anything, and Humphrey accuses her of conspiring with their stalker. Lolita becomes ill, and Humphrey takes her to the hospital. However, when Humphrey returns to get her, the nurses tell him that her uncle was already picked her up. Humphrey flies into a rage, but then he calms himself and leaves the hospital, heartbroken and angry. For the next 2 years, Humphrey searches for Lolita, unearthing clues about her kidnapper in order to exact his revenge. He half-heartedly takes up with a woman named Rita. But when he receives a note from Lolita, now married and pregnant, asking for money, assuming that Lolita has married the man who had followed them on their travels, Humphrey becomes determined to kill him. He finds Lolita poor and pregnant at 17. Humphrey realizes that Lolita's husband is not the man who kidnapped her from the hospital. When pressed, Lolita admits that Claire Quilty, a playwright whose presence has been felt from the beginning of the book, had taken her from the hospital. Lolita loved Quilty, but he kicked her out when she refused to participate in a child pornography orgy. Still devoted to Lolita, Humphrey begs her to return to him. Lolita gently refuses. Humphrey gives her $4,000 and then departs. He tracks down Quilty at his house and shoots him multiple times. Killing him, Humphrey is arrested and put in jail, where he continues to write his memoir, stipulating that it can only be published upon Lolita's death. After Lolita dies in childbirth, Humphrey dies of heart failure, and the manuscript is sent to John Ray Jr., PhD. So this is the story of Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. This is a very outstanding novel, and the theme which is engaged in this novel, it revolves around the power of language. Nabokov revered words and believed that the proper language could elevate any material to the level of art. In Lolita, language effectively triumphs over shocking content and gives it shades of beauty that perhaps it does not deserve. So,